It was a tale of two hens on Saturday and Sunday between the Nigerian national teams and the South African national team. On the male part, the Nigerian national team went to South Africa. They played out a 1-all draw. And on the female counterpart, what happened? They were beaten by the South African ladies known as Bafana. On this note, I welcome you to another wonderful edition of your favorite sports show that happens to be a window to all sporting activities. You know, it is Sports Beat, and during the show we'll be talking about what happened on Saturday as well as what happened between the female Nigerian national team on Sunday, and we'll be talking about the African Cup of Nations qualifiers, those nations that have qualified already. For the very first time in the history of African Cup of Nations, we will be seeing 24 nations coming to actually three-tackle, and at the end of the day, one team will emerge the best of the tournament. And we'll be talking about tennis, where we saw Alexander Zverev gotten the better of world #1, talking about Novak Djokovic. And this is not just a very good one. And we will not be forgetting what is going on in the European continent, talking about European Nations League. All of these we'll be talking about and many more on today's edition of your favorite sports show. Adedotun, Agubiade is the name. And joining me today to the justice to all of the topics we have at hand, it is Tola, Olushola. It is feast you get to see every Monday. Good afternoon, Tola. Good
afternoon, Dotu, and good afternoon to viewers back at home. Over the course of the weekend, not so great game for the Super Eagles, but yes, we got the job done, and that's the most important thing. So, you know, it's always great to be in the studios to talk sports, and every of that and many more we are going to dissect this afternoon.
Of course, talking about getting the job done on the field of play between the Nigerian national team and the South African national team. Many among soccer-loving persons, how they said that it was indeed a wrong offside call from the referee in charge of the particular game. Let's move on this afternoon and talk about the game, talking about South Africa against Nigeria. Tola, let's talk about this game.
Yes, it was a game that everybody looked forward to. You know, we needed to get a result, and we did well in getting a result. But if you ask me, Dotun, to break it down, I would say the coach still needs to do more when it comes to his tactical decisions. You understand the fact that we have players like Henry Onyekuru in form. He just scored 2 goals for Galatasaray, you know, before that particular match. These are players that you need to play very well to boost their confidence. And then you gave us a player that was, you know, not natural. You know, he's a proven striker for the Super Eagles, but he never did much in that particular game. The only player that could hold his head high in that encounter, for me, is Ahmed Musa. You know, he was running around trying to. We are
going there. Let's just talk about the game. Let's look at the aftermath of the game. The gaffer in charge of the South African national team, talking about Stuart Baxter, said that despite the fact that they played out a 1-all draw with Nigeria, that they took 4 points from Nigeria. Don't you think that he should be thinking of why don't we got the better of Nigeria to put ourselves in a very good position?
Yes, I think he's only trying to see the positives, because the main thing is that Nigeria are the first to qualify from the group.
Yes.
But if we look at the head-to-head, I think they got the better of Nigeria.
Of course, you're right.
But the main thing when it comes to, you know, groups like this and qualifiers is to get out of the group.
Of course.
Irrespective of either you lose or you win, we've gotten the job done. But that is why I said our coach need to do more when it comes to, you know, tactical in-game management, because we needed, it was obvious that we needed some 1 or 2 decisions to go our way. We never had midfielders that could hold the ball very well. We were losing possessions far too often. But on the day we got the job done. And then you want to talk about the bad officiating.
No, don't go there now. Let's take it one after the other.
Yes.
Let's talk about the tactical approach of the game. On the side of the gaffer in charge of the team, talking about Gareth Raw, he adopted a 3-5-2 formation. And to many among soccer-loving persons, how they come out to say that he was afraid of South Africa. And some say said that he did trade the part of caution, because he knows if Nigeria eventually loses that game, they might not be in the African Cup of Nations. And let's look at it. The tactical approach.
Yes, I would tilt to the side of the argument that, mentioned the fact that he had to be cautious. When you go away from home, you are not guaranteed of maximum points. And you understand that South Africa already came here, they defeated us. So when we want to go over there, we needed to be cautious, because if we play in a way that we open ourselves up, we get punished for it.
Yes.
But irrespective of that, I expect us, to even if you want to be compact, both at the defense line and in midfield, you ought to have used, players that will be able to, backpedal, to track back, and, go in transition to attack. It was only Ahmed Musa that was tracking back. Yes, Samuel Kalu had a good game, but he was not really tracking back. It means he left his particular flank exposed. And you saw Persitao, he did stuff that day. I was impressed with him. It's not good to say this, but what can you say?
No, you have to say it.
When your opponent
is
better than you, you just have to say it. Persitao did things. He ran rings around our midfield, and look at the way he crafted that beautiful, leveler against the Super Eagles. He had to, maneuver his way through 3-4 players. That was fantastic. And I think we need a ball-playing midfielder like that too. Everybody is saying we miss Mikel Obi. Till when are we going to raise his successor? We can't keep depending on him. And ever since he has been injured, we have not. And if you talk about Ogu, he's talented but too sluggish. Too sluggish. We need players that will be able to, immediately we win the ball back from the opposition. We have to transcend into quick counter-attacks.
Quick transition.
You understand the fact that we need players like that. Iwobi was trying to do it, but he was even like Agasika.
Okay, let's move on and let's talk about the players, the rating of the players. I just want to ask Tola, the 3 defenders we used at the back, how will you rate them?
Yes, I think they did well. They did well. They had their moments in which they were not really assured. They were jittery at some point. But if you ask me, I think they did well. And the Chelsea player that was on loan, I wouldn't remember his name. He had to score a particular goal, which means our defense line, talking about the Brighton and Hove man, Leon Balogun and Trustekon, I think they did well. Because the first half, the South Africans were getting at us. They were toying with us, but in the second half, it was like we were settled. They were bringing everything at us, and our defenders were ready for it. They were rushing the play. I didn't mean that the South Africa were taking it easy. They could have eventually found that winning goal that they needed to get the maximum 3 points. But all in all, we got the job done.
Okay, let's talk about the midfielders. You did mention John Ogu the other time that is so sluggish at the middle of the park. How will you rate the whole midfielders? Talking about the midfield department in general.
Yes, I would say John Ogu was so sluggish. I would give him a rating of 5/10. He never did bad, but he never did anything spectacular. He was just there, average. If you would ask me, I would say Etebo never did anything spectacular, but Etebo was solid and he was assuring. He was covering so many blades of grass. He was trying to make sure that there was no loopholes in midfield, and that was what I like about him. Ogeze 92, Onazi.
No, Nazi wasn't there.
I saw it.
And
I saw it, there was a
Alex Iwobi.
Alex Iwobi, sorry.
Yes.
Pardon me. Alex Iwobi never did much, really. He was trying to tread in some true passes, but then again, you would say he needs to put in defensive shift. Whenever we play, it's not every time that your team will be on the attacking foot.
Of course.
There are times that the opposition will be coming at you. At that point in time, we need our midfielders, to put in a shift, come to defend the beat. Iwobi was lazy in that aspect, and Ogu looked leggy. He was not assured. But you want to talk about a table. He was just, trying to throw in the tackles, help the midfielders, try to link the attack. I think it's a game we can learn from, so that in subsequent games we can look to do better.
Okay, let me pick it from there. He said it is a game we can learn from. Let's actually talk about what we did learn from this particular game. 5 major things we learned from this particular game. Number 1, among the 5 lessons we actually learned during the course of the game was Samuel Kalu. Samuel Kalu, exceptional in new rule. Let's talk about this. He was played as a wing back, not as a wing forward, and he did exceptionally.
Well, I would say, not too exceptionally defensively, because if you say wing back, it means you are playing an attacking defending position.
Yes.
So it was not really covering for the defenders.
The right back very well.
But then again, when you talk about going forward, it was very, very immaculate. I love the way he crafted our goal. You know, he put them under pressure. He was trying to walk their defenders, and I would say in that particular new role, he would, you know, with further games, he would improve even the more.
Talking about Samuel Kalu improving the more in further games, let's still talk about all the guys that did well on the night. Ahmed Musa did lead by example. How will you rate Ahmed Musa?
Yes, Ahmed Musa can, you know, he can look to hold his head high. Like I said earlier, he's the only one that I would say yes, he did a yeoman's job. You know, he had there was this offside call that went against him in the first half when he tried the ball through to another of our striker to score. I think Iheanacho. And then in the second half of that game, you know, it will be tread. That is the picture on the screen when it will be tread the true pass through to Ahmed Musa and he slotted in. So I think he did well. And when it comes to covering for the defense, you know, he ran the length of the field from attack to defense, and it was a thorn in the flesh of the, you know, Bafana players.
Okay, talking about Ahmed Musa being a thorn in the flesh of Bafana defense, and let's talk about a player that did a yeoman's job in the game between Nigerian national team and the Libyan national team. Talking about Alex Iwobi. But on Saturday, he was really, really inconsistent.
Yes, this is the point where I would want Iwobi to improve on his game. You know, we want a midfielder that would always bring his A game while playing for the Super Eagles. You know, we can't afford Iwobi to have average games again. This is the national team. We want our midfielder, especially the most talented of them, you know, to come up with fantastic performance. On Saturday, I think Iwobi, I would rate him a 5 or 6 over 10. But on his day, he can give performances of 8, 9 over 10.
Okay, talking about Iwobi giving a performance of 8 over 10 or 9 over 10. Let's talk about these, that it's of great significance to the game, and we need to talk about this because we really missed these two guys. Talking about Wilfred Ndidi and the man talking about the leading scorer in African Cup of Nations qualifying series, Odion Jude Ihalo.
Yes, Wilfred Ndidi was missed, I will tell you, because if he had been there, his presence would have been felt. You know, he has the physique and he has the long legs, and you know, when it comes to, you know,
he has the pace and the power.
He has the power. He can even chip in with goals, long range rockets.
Shot.
Yes, so you know, these are the kind of players that when they are out injured, definitely you would miss them. But talking about Igalo, I think because of the nature of where we were going, I would not say he was greatly missed, because if not for wrong officiating, we would have scored maybe 2-3 goals. So it means if we would have scored 3 goals, we were not really missing Igalo. But if Igalo had been there, either on the bench, it would have been a great option to come on. So all in all, like I said, it's a game for us to learn so many positives moving forward.
Still a little matter of the midfield position and who will actually man the midfield when Mikel Obi is not really there. Let's talk about Mikel Obi. Mikel Obi still needed in Super Eagles, owing for the fact that nobody was able among the midfielders we had on the field of play to stir the boys to actually play calmly and dictate the pace of the game.
Definitely. If you want to talk about the best Nigerian player that plays perfectly well under pressure, then you want to mention the fact that the only man we have for that role is John Mikel Obi. You know, he's always ice cool under pressure. And then we don't have a player of that stature and caliber as of yet. If Iwobi is under pressure, he treads through wrong passes.
He frees you out.
You understand the fact that he doesn't like to be pressured. Every of those Nigerian midfielders, immediately the South Africans covered us, you know, they were making mistakes. And that means we still need a certain Mikel Obi. But for me, I wouldn't want us to always depend on him, because by the time he wants to retire, I think we should have a successor for him. So while Obi still missed, I think we should be looking to raise his successor quick now, and you know,
as possible,
as fast as possible.
Okay, let's talk about this. It's of great interest. He said the other time Nigeria could have won the game by 2 or 3 goals to 1, but bad officiating, wrong offside call, I would say, disrupted that game. But Tola, I want to remind you, some time ago when we were discussing this game, Monday last week, if you can remember, I mentioned something that the referee should not emerge as man of the match, and he eventually emerged as the man of the match.
Yes, I saw a particular report where the referee came out to apologize.
Of course he did.
You understand? But irrespective of his apology, he had already
marred the game.
You understand? So we need better officiating. If they need the VAR, I think they should, come together, request for VAR so that it can improve the officiating of the African game. We can't keep, injuring our football with bad officiating. If you look at the first offside call, it was blatant onside position. The second one, I had to take a second look because I thought Musa
was glaring that it was not in an offside position. We have it on the screen the other time. We saw it.
Yes.
You saw the mark.
Definitely.
That it was too obvious.
Yes, a defender was still playing Musa Horn before Isaac.
Even the other defender here who played Isaac Success on.
Definitely. So I think it's a very, very wrong call. And the referee, if you look at his position, he could have spotted that. But even if he was not able to spot that, I think it is the job of the linesman to help him out.
The assistant ref that put the flag up. But the ref, the position he is, can clearly see. So it is an agreement between the referee and the assistant referee that this is not a goal. And this is very, very wrong offside call. Well, let's move away from that because we are talking about Super Eagles. We don't have any business than actually talk about them, what they did achieve on Saturday, qualifying for the African Cup of Nations after missing out in 2 consecutive editions. And let's talk about up next for Super Eagles of Nigerian national team. Up next, they will be up against the Cranes of Uganda. Cranes of Uganda, they've qualified for the African Cup of Nations, and they will be playing a friendly game tomorrow in Asaba. Let's talk about this.
Yes, this is a game that we should look to test every other players we have, since it's a friendly game, and because we have secured qualification for Nations Cup, so we should look, like earlier I was mentioning the fact that we need to raise players that would succeed John Mikel Obi. So these are the games we need to test the rest of our players. We need to be sure of what role each and every one of them will be playing come next year in Cameroon at the AFCON. So the game against the Cranes of Uganda, I think Jonathan has this particular game to field some 1 or 2 players. I think he should even give more local players the chance to test themselves so that we can be able to know that our league has been producing fantastic players.
Talking about our league producing fantastic player, let's talk about this player. He mentioned him the other time, talking about Leon Balogun that plies his trade with Brighton and Hove Albion Wanderers. Brighton and Hove Albion in England. He's out injured and he's not going to be a part of the game that Nigeria will be playing tomorrow.
Like I said, it's a bad one for him, but a good one for his replacement, because this afford
he will be given the opportunity to actually showcase his talent.
Yes, okay, his replacement would, if the person, I wouldn't know the person coming in for him, but if the person is ready for this challenge, this is your opportunity. You just go out there, you play your game. It's a friendly game, less pressure, because these players, if you introduce them in a game of high magnitude, big pressure, they tend to crack under the pressure. But against the Cranes of Uganda, Leon Balogun is not available. His replacement should be looking to take the opportunity and raise your stake anytime we have people to pick for the defense position.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's talk about this. Is of great interest to people living in Lagos. Actually, Lagos State Sport Commission, they are pushing very hard, and it's possible that the next qualifying games of the Nigerian national team, talking about the Super Eagles, might likely take place in Lagos. Talking about Teslim Balogun may host Super Eagles versus Seychelles clash. Let's talk about this. And it's going to really make Lagosians happy.
Lagosians, whenever they support, they come out en masse. And the reason why the Super Eagles games of late have not been brought to Lagos is because it is always been marred by violence. And NFF has tried to avoid
not really that alone. Not really that alone. It has to do with finance. It has to do with the playing surface.
Yes, finance. But Lagosians are Lagosians. When we don't win, you understand the fact that that environment becomes hostile. It's still part of it. So I think right now they should look to compose themselves, and since the Lagos Sports Football Sports Commission are the ones pushing for this, I think they should be ready financially for it, you know, to host the game. The game is inconsequential as far as I'm concerned. You know, we're already qualified, and it will be difficult for South Africa to go over there to win Libya. So we can just look to enjoy ourselves, and if they bring it to Lagos, good one for Lagosians. They can come out en masse and support the Super Eagles.
Okay, let's sit back and relax and enjoy the highlight of the game we saw between South African national team known as Bafana against the Super Eagles of Nigeria on Saturday. Then after that,